what up? This is my WWE Extreme Rules 2009 pay-per-view review. Gotta say, overall, this was definitely a very good pay-per-view outing from WWE. Two good back-to-back pay-per-views. You know, I had Judgment Day last month, and you had Extreme Rules just earlier on. And I thought it was a very good overall pay-per-view outing from WWE. Now, this pay-per-view might kind of be like the WWE Judgment Day. You're either going to be on my side, and you're going to think it was a very good overall pay-per-view or maybe just a decent pay-per-view. I thought it was definitely a very good pay-per-view outing from WWE. Let me get to the review. The first matchup was Kofi Kingston versus William Regal versus Matt Hardy versus MVP for the United States Heavyweight Championship in a fatal four-way match. And this is definitely a good match to start off the pay-per-view with. I thought it could have maybe been given a little more time because it was probably about 8 to 10 minutes long, if that. And it should have been given maybe 5 more minutes and probably could have pulled off a little better than what it was. But still a solid opener. Saw some good stuff from MVP and Kofi Kingston this match. William Regal did some good wrestling in here. And Matt Hardy, he even did some decent stuff in here. He's probably out of the 4 in here, he probably did the worst of the 4. He didn't really do too much in here. He did the whole stuff with the cast like normally that they've been doing over for a little while. But definitely a good, solid opener. And the way the match ends, William Regal throws MVP and Matt Hardy out of the ring. Then it's him and Kofi Kingston in the ring. He's about to try to throw Kofi Kingston outside of the ring as well. Kofi Kingston does the thing where he catches himself on the ropes, turns around and hits William Regal with the Trouble in Paradise to William Regal for the win. So Kofi Kingston retains the United States Heavyweight title, probably like everyone was expecting anyway. But solid opener, 2.5 stars. Next matchup was surprisingly, this went on very early. I was not expecting this to go on so early. And that was the Chris Jericho versus Rey Mysterio no holds barred match for the IC Championship, the Intercontinental Championship. And I didn't expect this to be on so early. I was expecting this to be pretty later on in the show, but this was a very good match. Before the match, Jericho was backstage. You didn't see him come out first. Then he got on the mic. You saw him backstage. He came through the crowd to the ring, and very good promo from Chris Jericho right there. Then Rey Mysterio came out. Then the match started off. It was given about probably a little over 15 minutes. Very solid stuff between them two. Really enjoyed it. Just like their Judgment Day, another good match between these two. Good back and forth action. Saw some good high spots from Rey Mysterio. One of the best spots in here was Chris Jericho was outside the ring. Rey Mysterio was in the ring, and Rey Mysterio hit a tope suicida through the middle and top rope to the floor to Chris Jericho. That was very good. And a couple other good spots in here. Just good back and forth action, and definitely another good match between these two. And surprisingly, the outcome of this match kind of shocked me. I did not see Chris Jericho winning the Intercontinental Championship. The way the match ended was Chris Jericho had Rey Mysterio in the walls of Jericho, and there was a chair placed inside the ring, and Rey Mysterio got out of it, hit Chris Jericho in the head with the steel chair. Then Rey Mysterio got him in the 619 position, went for the 619, then Chris Jericho grabbed him and rolled him. And before he rolled him up for the victory, he tore off Rey Mysterio's mask, but Rey Mysterio had his face covered, so you didn't see his face. But Chris Jericho did remove the mask and did win the IC Championship for the 9th time in his career. I know a lot of people probably going to say it's kind of pointless for him winning this right now, but this kind of furthers the whole storyline with the mask thing with Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho. He took the mask off on the pay-per-view, and he took the IC Championship from Rey Mysterio. So obviously these two are going to have another match probably at the Bash coming in 3 weeks on pay-per-view. Probably another rematch between these two, which I don't think anyone will have a problem with because they've really been putting on some very good matches with each other. 3.5 stars, probably not match of the night, but definitely the second best match of the night. And some people might argue that it might be the match of the night because the latter match, I got to say before I even get to that, that was kind of disappointing. Then the next matchup was Umaga versus CM Punk in the Samoan strap match. And then this was pretty good. This was a step up from their Judgment Day match. They did improve it here. I didn't think the whole Samoan strap match where this is kind of like a Texas bull rope rules or somewhat where they have to win this match. Whoever has to win this, they have to touch all 4 corners of the ring to win this match. It wasn't that long of a match. Pretty good, solid stuff here. The way the match ends, CM Punk was able to hit 3 of the 4 turnbuckles. turnbuckle corners, and then Umaga tried to stop him. CM Punk called him with the go to sleep and hit the 4th one for the victory. So definitely glad to see CM Punk get a victory on pay-per-view here. Right here, and speaking of CM Punk, there's something that happened later on in the show, which I'll get on to at the end of this review, which definitely, obviously, you know, me being a huge CM Punk fan, I definitely like the way this pay-per-view ended. And definitely a good match here with Umaga and CM Punk. I would give it 2 3/4 stars. Then the next matchup was the 3-way ECW hardcore triple threat match for the ECW championship with Christian versus Jack Swagger versus Tommy Dreamer. And I thought the Tommy Dreamer element, because I was a huge Tommy Dreamer fan when he was part of the original ECW, but even I'll admit Tommy Dreamer isn't the greatest in-ring performer. Christian and Jack Swagger, they did some good stuff in here, and surprisingly Tommy Dreamer, this is probably one of the best outings of Tommy Dreamer I've probably seen in a little while from him. And actually, I know some people expected him to win the title, but I kind of was somewhat surprised that they did give him the ECW championship. I thought, you know, this would possibly be his last match, and they do the whole rumored of him being the general manager of ECW. Good match here. He wins with the DDT on Jack Swagger, so he wins the ECW championship in this match, and it doesn't hurt Christian's credibility since Christian didn't get pinned, so possibly see a Tommy Dreamer versus Christian match at the Bash pay-per-view, or maybe another triple threat between these two. So this is definitely a good match here, 3 stars, a whole lot better than I was actually expecting. I thought the Tommy Dreamer element might have deteriorated the match since I didn't know how he would do in here, but he did very good in here. Then the next thing was the Santina Marella versus Vicky Guerrero, the hog pin match. Now, this match I'm not going to give no star rating because this was not intended to be an in-ring wrestling match or anything like this. This was just out there for comedy purposes. And even though I didn't really like the idea of this being on pay-per-view, I much would have rather have a women's championship. For what it wasn't too bad. What it was, Santina came out there, Santino Marella, the whole thing that he's been doing, and Vicky Guerrero turned this into a handicap match with Chavo Guerrero being involved, and you know, some decent comedy in here. Chavo and Vicky Guerrero both got slopped by Santino Marella, and he or she in this match retains the Miss WrestleMania title by pinning Vicky Guerrero. It was very short, so that's the only reason I'm getting this a pass and not really ragging on it, because it was 4 or 5 minutes at best, maybe 6, and I don't think it even went that long, so I can't really, you know, rag on that too much. And then after this, they did a little backstage segment with Goldust and Hornswoggle that was pretty funny. Don't really, you know, don't want Goldust and Hornswoggle to win the tag team championships, but it's good comical relief, I gotta say, right there with them two. For, you know, some of their corny stuff WWE does, at least that kind of, you know, fits. And, you know, Goldust, who can't like some of his comedy that he does over the years, especially the whole stuttering thing that he's, you know, starting to put back with his character, which I thought, you know, some of the funniest stuff he ever did with his character, other than, you know, the old stuff he did in 96 and 97. So like I said, I'm not going to give that a rating, but it wasn't a trash segment like I was expecting. They did it as quick as they possibly could. Then the next matchup was the Randy Orton versus Batista steel cage match for the WWE Championship. And this was surprisingly a very, very short match. It was probably 8 or 10 minutes long at best. But I think for booking-wise, this was definitely the smart move to do. Make this match as quick as possible. And actually, it wasn't a terrible match. I thought it was at least a watchable match, and they booked it in a very good way where they made this as short as possible and made it, you know, as good as what it possibly could have been. It couldn't have been any better than what it was. Like I said, 8-10 minutes. Batista does win the title after hitting the powerbomb to Randy Orton, so maybe we're going to see the rumored Batista versus Triple H feud happen at some time down the line. Or, you know, you got to think of, you know, Cena and Batista, they had a match last year at SummerSlam, so they might be saving that for SummerSlam this year, especially since this time it will be for the World Heavyweight Championship since Batista just won it. And I expect Batista to probably at least hold on to this title till SummerSlam. To either they'll do, you know, Cena and Batista 1 year later at another SummerSlam, or do Triple H and Batista. But shockingly, it wasn't a terrible match between Orton and Batista. I think they did the smart call here, booking-wise, and making this as short as possible. I would give it 2 3/4 stars. It was a whole lot better than I was expecting. I thought I was going to be bored out of my mind in like a 20-25 minute steel cage match, and they made it short as possible. But then the only match that was bad on this pay-per-view was the next match, which was the John Cena versus Big Show's submission match here. And they kind of had a questionable ending here that really didn't make any sense at all. The way this match, I'm not even going to go through too much of this match. It was just very boring, dragged on. It was like probably everyone expected, the worst match of the pay-per-view, especially since I didn't even count the Vicky Guerrero and whole Santina thing as far as being a match on the pay-per-view. This is by far the only thing that I would classify as terrible in this pay-per-view, since the other thing was just for comic relief anyway. And this is kind of the cool down to the ladder match that was on after this. So it wasn't, the worst match, but it definitely was something I could have passed on seeing here. The way the match ends, Cena gets Big Show's leg kind of tied up in the rope and then applies the STF that way, which doesn't really make any sense. I know this is Extreme Rules and submission style, but even, Extreme Rules match and you got a submission match, you always got, rope breaks. So even though his leg kind of got called out and they kind of changed the camera view to make it seem like his leg was still called in there, he still had his leg caught under the rope. So technically it would have been a rope break, but I'm not going to really argue. The match ended, so that was the only good thing there. 1.5 stars. Then the next matchup was the main event of the evening. This was the ladder match for the World Heavyweight Championship between Edge versus Jeff Hardy. And I gotta say, this wasn't a bad ladder match, but it wasn't a great ladder match. I was expecting a little more from it. Saw some good spots in here. Probably one of the best spots in here. You saw probably halfway in the match, you saw Jeff Hardy do the Whisper in the Wind off the ladder onto Edge. They did another spot, which probably this is the holy shit moment of the match probably. And this is when Edge gets a ladder, or it was either Jeff Hardy that got a ladder. Placed it from the ring to the apron, and then Jeff Hardy placed Edge on that ladder, and Jeff Hardy got another ladder, probably about 15, 20 foot ladder, climbed up there, and looked like he was going to do a leg drop to Edge through it. Edge got up, they both got on top of the ladder, and they both teetered over onto the ladder. Definitely very sick spot right there. They did another spot within the ring where Edge was going for the spear on Jeff Hardy from a ladder to another ladder, and Jeff Hardy caught him with a twist of fate. And they did utilize the ladders pretty good in here, I gotta say, but I've seen a whole lot better ladder matches here. And the end of the match, I gotta say, was somewhat innovative. It kind of played off on the whole thing that, the way CM Punk won the Money in the Bank the one time where he trapped Jericho's leg in the ladder. They kind of played off that a little bit, where Jeff Hardy pretty much got Edge's whole body, except his head, trapped in the ladder, climbed up the ladder, grabbed the World Heavyweight Championship, became the new World Heavyweight Champion. But then the swerve happened, and definitely very good swerve here, because I gotta say, I didn't expect it on this pay-per-view, and I highly doubt that many people expected this. And CM Punk's music hit. He came out there, cashed the Money in the Bank. He hit one GTS first to go to sleep to Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy was able to kick out. Then he hit a second one, won the World Heavyweight Championship. So you had Jeff Hardy won the title probably for maybe 2-3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes here. And CM Punk is the new World Heavyweight Championship. Definitely me being a huge CM Punk fan. Definitely good ending right here. And they definitely, somewhat started building CM Punk's credibility up a little more. He defeated Umaga on SmackDown. He got a win on pay-per-view finally. This was his first pay-per-view victory since WrestleMania. So, he got 2 good back-to-back victories right there. And even though I think he kind of did like the heelish thing, winning the world title this way, just as long as they book his title reign very good, I'll be okay with it. And as far as the ladder match, I would give it 3.5 stars. I would probably say it was the best match of the night. But some people might argue and say the Chris Jericho and Rey Mysterio match was the match of the night, because that was very good as well. Overall, I gotta say this was a very good pay-per-view. I would give it an 8.25, just a little better than the Judgment Day pay-per-view overall. So 2 good back-to-back WWE pay-per-views right there. Like I said, this might be one of those pay-per-views that if you didn't like Judgment Day, you might have different feelings on this pay-per-view. You're either gonna think the show was very good, or you're going to think it's decent. I highly doubt that many people are going to say this show was complete trash or sucked. So overall, that's my thoughts on the WWE Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Definitely very good, and I would actually, recommend people to go out there, get this pay-per-view. Maybe not worth the complete $40, maybe wait till the DVD comes out, but it was definitely a worth watching this pay-per-view. Definitely very good, and yeah, that's it. Peace.